I don't think so. I don't see the accelerating universe. Maybe I'm misunderstanding your question, um, but
They,
the the tension between the ages of the universe as derived from Hubble law and the CMB does not in any way imply that the acceleration of the universe is not isotropic or that it differs in directionality.
wait,
Both still
what?
state that it accelerates outward at,
Not at the same rate, though.
yeah, not well. If one gives you one rate, the other one gives you another rate.
Why? That's what, like I'm saying. If again, like if things are going out further away from me, and they're changing rate based on distance away from Earth in all directions, that's more evidence towards us being in the center. Like, why would the acceleration in all directions be relative to us? That doesn't make any sense. I have it right here. I found it in my notes here. It's 67 kilometers per second. So the observations of the cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of the Big Bang, suggest a value of around 67 kilometers a second per megaparsec. Meanwhile, measurements based on the supernova in the nearby modern universe suggest a slightly higher value, around 74 kilometers per second per megaparsec. This discrepancy is known as the Hubble tension.
Yeah.
So that's a lot, right? I mean, 67 to 74. So I was pretty close, and
Yeah,
I think that's pretty bad.
I underestimate. I think I said 72 and 68, but yeah.
So, like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, that's obviously very crucial in all reality. It's being undermined as if it's are misrepresented. It's being breezed over. What? Like, the whole thing that happened was we saw that the universe looked like we were in the center. They updated the entire model to say, oh, it looks like you're in the center everywhere. I promise. It's just an illusion. And everything's accelerating away from you. Well, this is showing that everything's not accelerating at the same rate. That doesn't work. I don't like. How could that work? That's a refutation.
That is not what that is saying. And I will state that yes, the fact that this is not mentioned anywhere, that basically we, from a science communication standpoint, say that the universe is 13.7 billion years old, which from my understanding is based on the CMB value of the Hubble constant, and do not talk about the other one. Yeah, I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because of simplicity, because it doesn't matter in a conceptual sense. It doesn't matter what the constant is. You still have accelerate the universe expanding. It's like saying that if a car is going if one person measures a car traveling at 55 miles an hour and another person measures the speed of the car to be 60 miles per hour, then the car can't possibly be moving. No, what's happening is that we just don't know how fast that acceleration is happening. As to why that is, I don't know. And it bothers me. If naively, and there are definitely way smarter people working on this than I am, but naively, I would have to assume that one of the two methodologies for calculating that is flawed in some way. Either there is a systematic error in how the measurements were taken that has not been identified, or what more provocatively, there is some astrophysical reason for it. So, for example, one of the ideas that's been proposed is the supernova type 1a supernovae are considered standard candles. The basic idea is that every type 1a supernova explodes exactly the same way. It has the same energy. It rises in brightness at the same rate. It declines in brightness at the same rate. And so you can use that as a distance measurement. But the assumption is that supernovas, holy crap, supernovas at this time are the exact same things. The type 1a supernovae are exactly the same process in the early universe as they are now, which may be a faulty assumption. So that would be my answer to that. But critically speaking, because the two values are different, does not discount or does not refute the idea that the universe is expanding. And you can go back to the bread pudding and the balloon examples to illustrate how that's possible, at least in 2D.
Yeah, I mean, is it possible that the Earth's just in the center? That's why it looks like it's in the center.
Our evidence to the says no. You can. What cosmological principle states is that you can make that claim that the Earth is the center of the universe. In fact, I can make the claim that I am the center of the universe. But you can also make that claim that you are, in fact, the 0 point of your coordinate system. What it does not say is that the Earth is in a fixed absolute reference frame. So, and is the center of all things.
It is though, bro. But I'm just letting you know.
Again, I'm waiting for the evidence. I'm waiting for the
all empirical evidence ever, dude. Every measurement attempt ever in the history of mankind to measure directly that the Earth orbits the sun doesn't work. It doesn't work. I mean, it's like, this is what happens is people become so lost from like the history of it. Like, how do you think we discovered that the Earth allegedly wobbles? It's that the sky didn't match the globe Earth heliocentric model prediction. That's why we claim the Earth wobbles. They didn't go measure the Earth wobbling. They saw the sky changes over every few years, so they said that it's wobbling.
Are you talking about precession?
Of the sky every like 7 years, and they claim the Earth wobbles. Yeah.
Well, to me, I don't know what you mean by wobble. There are a couple of different ways the Earth wobbles. The most common usage that I've heard in that term is precession, which is I'm going to get this wrong, 26,000 year axial circle that the axial tilt subscribes anyway. It does. So I don't know about the 7 day thing.
7 years, yeah.
7 year thing, sorry. But
yeah, I guess I was just making the point, like, the current model has been updated 1,000,000 times, like 1,000. Like, the geocentric model has just been sitting here, not having to update the whole time. Because when stuff in the sky moves, it's because the stuff in the sky moves. Okay, so we haven't had to update our position. The geocentric model hasn't updated. Sure, you'd have to update like the math to explain the different things you discover in the sky. It's already been done. Neotectonic systems have been mathed out top to bottom by many astronomers. No one knows about them, which is why I do what I do. It's insane that I have to fight the amount of censorship I do. I can't imagine being a professor or a physics even student or anything trying to get this work out there. It would be such a waste of time. I'd be pissed. I think I'm just going to ask you some of the questions they have, if that's cool. Because I know it's super long. I have a whole list of things, but I'm not going to keep you any longer.
Yeah, I was just thinking. Again, the thing I will say about the lights in the sky, and I've heard this argument before, is I mean, not to be flippant, if you don't make a claim that something is happening, if you just kind of hand wave and say, yeah, that's what stars do, they just happen to wobble around, then you can definitely, there's no need for that to evolve. There's no need for that to be updated, but it's wholly unsatisfying.
Well, I can do what you can do. I can give math for all of it. That's all that you do.
Well, again, and this is kind of going towards what you were saying, is you say that there is all this evidence for neotectonic universe. I've never seen it. None of I could guarantee that my colleagues haven't seen it, although now I'm going to ask them. It's not taught. There was a reason for that, is because somebody, I'm sure, has looked at it and said, no, this doesn't match observations.
Oh, maybe it's because you're not allowed to question the heliocentric.
Why am I not allowed to question
the heliocentric model?
Yeah,
because it's like a thing that everyone assumes is known for a fact.
I don't assume that it's known for a fact. I know that it has been that has evidence supporting it through observations and experimentation.
What though? You said aberration, parallax, and
Binary star systems. I'm
Kepler's.
sure I can find plethora of other reasons.
I don't think so, man. Kepler's laws is not. That's a kinematic, geometric description of the motion. Neotectonic system gives you a kinematic relationship. We can use Newton to even give you the dynamic. I would use magnetism. I would use like Lorentz magnetic force with the Lorentz etheric model, but I would have to integrate that into a geocentric stationary plane. I'm supposed to be able to do all of it by myself, and you guys had 500 years to still not be able to explain it, right? And so it's you see the predicament is that you have thousands of people for each little thing that you're trying to figure out, and you still can't figure out tons of stuff. But anyone that's trying to figure out the alternative explanation that's been right in front of us the entire time, and like Hubble himself said, can never be disproven, now they have to venture on this journey by themselves in the face of societal ostracism, mocking, scoffing, and do all the work. So it's set up in such a way that only heliocentrism can thrive. And I find that disingenuous and unscientific. I don't like it.
So again, and I guess I'm appealing to me as the authority. I've done the work. I've actually gotten published, and I know. And the way to get published is you have to demonstrate that your claims are valid through evidence. So it's not like they basically just, oh, this conforms to our philosophy. Sure, we'll let it get published. It's because I can verify, or I can propose a reason for what I'm seeing that is consistent with the observations. That my argument is powerful, I guess. I don't like to use the word proof. So yeah. So and I've heard that. I've also heard that argument. Well, you guys have had 500 years. Well, so have you. Flat Earth or whatever, you have had is equally a long time to develop your own ideas and develop and make your observations and publish your work. So my question then becomes, if that has been done, when I look at that, I can either conclusions are A, the flat Earth side has not done the work, or B, that the flat Earth has done the work and is being actively suppressed by the astronomical community, the physics community, and then I want to know why and who's forcing these people, forcing me to just outright reject it. I mean, you have people on your side. You keep quoting scientists or saying that you have papers. Well, contact them.
Okay.
Figure out,
I would be very interested to see how you're going to react when I send you all this stuff, though, that I told you I would send you. When I send you all the neotectonic systems, and I send you the Machian Newtonian dynamics paperwork, when I show you all the calculations, all the math, all the physics for that very thing you said couldn't be done, Kepler's laws can be satisfied. I don't believe in that. And your question was, why do I bring that up? It's to rebut the idea that it's impossible. I have tons of things going on, man. Like I was making a point that there's no way you can anyone can logically and honestly expect me to replace Kepler's laws, to replace everything going on with galaxy clusters and what medium is space made of, and what's the distance, what's the density, what's the electromagnetic energy within it, blah 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 blah. What's all the motions, predict them all out. I do plan on working on stuff like that. I specifically starting with a theory of electromagnetic gravity, but it's kind of unreasonable to think that I should do all of it. That's the only reason I brought it up. Is you have 500 years, specifically the last 150 years, 200 years, devoted strictly to your paradigm, where all the most brilliant minds tried to explain it within your assumption. But I've kept you here for a super long time.
You've had these same minds in the for 500 years who could potentially have thought the Earth is flat, and we have nothing. And I think, honestly, if there are anyone out there who expects you to do all of this, they're assholes. It's unreasonable to expect you specifically to come up with. I would like just the community, the flat Earth community, to give me something that I can work with. Just don't give me claims, actual And, you know, I know some people are like, give me positive evidence. I will settle for a theoretical framework that I can then create tests for, or I can pass on to someone else that they can take tests for. I haven't even seen that.
But you're talking about specifically for flat Earth, not just geocentrism, right? Like,
either.
I can send you geocentrism ones like right now. When it comes to the flat Earth, is a little bit different, but it can be translated over. Like this is what I maybe we can end with this. Like, what could be done to falsify heliocentrism? Because it's pretty much nothing. Nothing can be done to falsify this current cosmology, and that's what I think is so funny. It's like people don't seem to understand that. Oh, everything expanded from one point. What would debunk it? Oh, redshift anomalies everywhere where there's not an even distribution of redshifts. Oh, no, that doesn't debunk it. We'll just wait until we find out an answer. Oh, there's not nearly enough mass. Oh, that doesn't debunk it. Oh, quasars exist with way too much energy based on their positioning relative to the galaxies. Oh, that doesn't debunk it. Like, everything that's observed that goes directly against the theory doesn't debunk it. Can you name something that we could observe in the sky that would refute the current cosmological model? Because it doesn't seem that actually exists. Basically, it's just sit back and wait till they come up with a new theory to save the model or update it, but we have to just go along with a ride.
Okay, so with the redshifts, yeah, there are anomalous redshifts. But in terms of the millions of redshifts that we've taken, it's a small fraction, which indicates that this is, yeah, something is going on there that we aren't expecting, that we don't understand. It doesn't say that the redshift method is wrong. It just says that we are missing something. As I've said over and over again, dark matter is not a problem for GR. It is a problem for potentially a problem for the standard model. But to answer your question, what would it take to validate or to basically say that GR is wrong or that should be superseded? I'm not entirely certain, but I think that dark energy is the key. I think that because right now GR, as far as I'm aware of, doesn't have a great explanation or even really a good explanation for what is physically motivating a negative or a 0 point pressure or a negative pressure. Space-time.
The ether has a good answer.
Again, give me a theoretical framework that will that can be tested versus against astronomical observations, and yeah, I will send it along. I will look it over and see what and let you know.
It's a repulsive reactive action within the etheric fluid-like background medium. Gravity is intrinsically electromagnetic in nature, which is why we see the natural relationship between Coulomb's law and the law of gravitation. It has a reciprocation, equinox reaction in the ether. It reciprocates, and then the fundamental constant of elementary charge is what's found in everything that exists.
Well, you can say that Coulomb's law is also sort of coupled with the diminution of light, because they're both inverse.
Yeah, but, that's true. But that's not attractive. That's not attractive.
The thing is with, and this is what I'm talking about in terms of that framework, is if you're saying that there is electrostatic forces, the electrostatic force is really what's causing the motions of all things, then we should see massive amounts of charge in the various astronomical objects, and we don't.
Oh, I don't think that, by the way. Like, just so you know, I don't think that electrostatics could ever cause the planetary motion or anything like that. That's insane.
Okay.
It's way too weak to do that. But yeah, maybe some charge in general, electromagnetism specifically. I would say coherent magnetism. That's not the same as electrostatics, but on the Earth we have everything being intrinsically electrostatic. Creates a really weak bias. Things go down to ground out at the ground. Yeah, in the sky it would be electromagnetic. I think it's a plasma-like background. Like, here, can I ask you that? Like, is it possible? Is it even possible? Think about everything that you've seen in the sky. Is it possible that it's that space? Now, obviously, you have to set aside people claiming to have gone out there. I know you don't agree with that, but I'm asking you, if you can take yourself into that position, is it possible that, based on what you've seen, that the sky could be more fluid-like and more plasma-like, like more dense than previously thought? More dense.
There's no observational evidence for it. So what would be my question for you is, if you're going to put that forward as a hypothesis, what is a test that I could run?
Yeah, well, one thing is like gravitational lensing would be based on like the plasma type background of that magnetic relationship with the objects that the light passes through, based on the magnetic relationship with the plasma. So that actually would be evidence for it, just as much for that as for what would be like the test exclusive to it. That's a good question. I'd have to think about that, because basically everything that's invoked within your current cosmology can be explained with it. I mean, you guys invoke dark energy and dark matter. So that would be that seemingly is more dense, just not in the way we necessarily call. I mean, if there's 84% more matter there, that's got to have some density, certainly in the idea that it's baryonic.
Actually, dark energy or dark matter is not dense. That's one of the problems.
Yeah, what does that mean? What does that even mean? How can dark matter be baryonic matter and have no density?
I didn't say no density. I said not very dense.
Okay, so it does have density.
If you assume the weakly interacting particle model. In terms of one of the problems with the machos is, why is it that, if that is the case, then why is it that the dark matter halo stopped contracting? If it's normal matter, then why is it the dark matter halo seems to not contract? So that's one of the major problems with the macho argument.
It's etheric, brother. It's etheric, bro. Why don't you go make history and get your Nobel Prize and make a model about the ether? I'll help you. I'm just saying, you're in a position where you could make some positive change, man.
So the other thing about when you're talking about using ether as an explanation for gravitational lensing, that's kind of assuming that the ether exists beforehand. We haven't even identified that the ether exists at all. So that's putting the cart in front of the horse.
Like Einstein did with Eddington.
If ether exists, you need to give me some kind of observational test that I can run to show that the ether is a thing that has a density, that has a charge, a mass, what have you. Until I can do that, really saying that the ether can describe gravitational lensing is, to quote flat earthers, unicorn farts.
Just to clarify, I was talking about like just plasma in space, not even just the ether.
We account for plasma in space.
Yeah, but you can underestimate the amount of plasma in space, and the interpretation of redshift. You make an assumption like red and blue shift have to do with the length of the wave, even though length of wave. It doesn't necessarily mean that something's moving away from me. Like it doesn't actually. That's not the only way to explain redshift and blue shift. Right. Also, it doesn't mean that something's accelerating faster than the speed of light, which is absolutely absurd, or like within space that's moving faster than the speed of light. Magnetism alone can imitate redshift and blue shift. You can use magnetic spectrums alone to imitate that effect. A rainbow isn't accelerating away from me. It has different lengths of waves. It's not accelerating away from me. So just like Hubble said, if the redshift interpretation and assumption's wrong, like basically the assumption of like it being a Doppler-esque effect, all of the assumptions built upon that are wrong, and that it would be suspicious. It would be like more local, more dense, right, and suspiciously young, to quote him. And I think that's the case. I was asking, would it be possible? And your answer was kind of telling. It was like, well, how would I test it? I mean, fair enough. That's a good question. I would love to think about that. But everything that I would say, if you can see it, you've already seen it. You guys have already seen it. I'm asking interpretation wise, but the fact that you asked that kind of shows that, yeah, technically you could look up at the sky and be like, is that a more dense medium, and explain things from that framework. And that's kind of my point. You guys don't even entertain alternatives, but I will tell you that whoever gets real famous will be the person that does. So we'll be the person.
The thing is, I just did. If you can give me a test to look at it, to try to find or characterize the physical characteristics of this ether, I would be happy to do it. The issue here is that we have looked throughout the universe as best as we can. There is nothing that even hints that an ether exists. We have interstellar matter, sure. There's dust, there's gas, there's plasma. we can account for that. Based on our knowledge of physics, we know how light is going to interact with plasma. We can make corrective changes, and lo and behold, gravitational lensing is very consistent with GR. So
man,
that's the reason why we're not looking at ether, not because we're afraid of anything. It's that there's no evidence to point us in that direction.
Yeah. I just have to, I disagree with you. I feel like every single subject could be really long, right? Like the Eddington experiment didn't actually match GR's prediction. And they doctored some of the results, and you could go on and on and on. Almost every single one of these things is nuanced, and it isn't as simple as people oftentimes convey them. And once you get to the bottom of it, you find out very quickly, oh, no, that's not the case. And basically, and I mean this all due respect, right? Like the way I still see it after this conversation is all of this requires the presupposition of the model. And I think, for example, with the ball, the idea of the ball, it's like the globe Earth was made from the sky. What people do now is they look at the sky and they say, how could you possibly think the Earth couldn't be a globe? Like, look how much the globe model matches the sky. I'm like, yeah, that's how it was made. Literally, that's how it was made. The sky doesn't prove the Earth's a ball. That's how we made the ball. And it's the same thing with heliocentrism. Over 100 years or whatever, and it just the whole field of astronomy. You look at the sky, you have a presupposition of how to interpret it. Well, you've made up calculations and theories within that. So that's kind of how I look at it. I do admire that you will entertain the things I'm saying, right? And you're like, how would you explain this, or what would be your evidence of it, or come up with a theory or a way to test it. So I admire that. I do. It seems like it's rare, but maybe you know something I don't. Most physicists I talk to just kind of, they're like, well, you know the arena I'm in, so.
Talk to more astronomers. We're way more chill than physicists are. But I will say that I've heard the things you were saying about Eddington and all that. There's a guy in your community called Alan. I've talked to him a few times. He has done apparently a 3-hour lecture on this. I do plan on looking at it and addressing those topics.
Oh, nice. Where he body backed relativity.
Yeah. So what I'm
that's good.
But what I want to kind of turn around onto you is that you're saying that we are presupposing. Aren't you presupposing that the Earth is at the center and that you create this ether in order for to make that work? You're kind of presupposing that the ether is there because, as I've stated, there's no evidence for it.
Oh, no. There is evidence for it. There's free space impedance of 377 ohms. There's dielectric and magnetic constants in the vacuum. There's the Casimir effect. There's quantum foam. There's all kinds of stuff. There is evidence for it. Even just fundamentally in logic terms, what sustains the energy? If energy cannot be created nor destroyed, it can only be transferred. Where is it transferred from? There's all kinds of things that I can name as to evidence of the ether. Instantaneous action at distance, even in principle. What are virtual particles? What is magnetism? Thus, particle physics can't explain it. Virtual particles aren't a real thing, to quote Richard Feynman. They're just concepts we came up with. They're not the input or output of any experiment ever. It's just a concept we came up with to make the math balance out. And their existence is questionable at best, but we can't explain electricity, electrostatics, i.e. static electricity, magnetism, anything without virtual particles. That's the ether. Anyway, light is actually an ether perturbation. I can explain the double slit, no problem. I can get rid of the light particle duality with the ether. It is a much more viable framework. And there is evidence for it, the impedance of free space. And actually, that's not the fact that the Earth is stationary and in the center isn't why I think there's an ether. They're independent things. Like the Earth, the default position based on all empirical evidence is that the Earth is stationary. Like, that's it. Like, do you feel the Earth moving? No. Now, I get, of course, Earth's this big, you don't feel it moving. I get it. I 100% get that. But that's not the point. The default position is that it's not moving. And when I fly a plane, I treat it like it's not moving. When I see the stuff in the sky is moving, and I'm not moving. So on just a really rudimentary level, like, the opposite claim has the burden of proof. You're claiming that the opposite of everything that I actually observe in an experience is true. But it's deeper than that. when we had interferometry try to go and measure the motion of the Earth over 10 times more sensitive than it needed to be to detect the assumed 30 kilometer per second motion, it didn't do that. And it still hasn't done that to this day with 1,000 times more precise equipment. So that Newtonian mechanics is completely out of the window as viable. It's not even close. It can't be any type of absolute frame of reference. So when we went to measure the Earth moving, we can't, dude. So then when we went, what a coincidence that we couldn't measure it, but then we used that same technology to try to measure the sidereal rotation, and it worked. Within 98% accuracy, it matched it with Michelson-Gale-Pearson. Same exact principles of physics, same exact principles of interferometry. We detected the rotation, didn't detect the orbit. There's only one viable explanation, is that the Earth's not moving. There's all kinds of stuff like that. It's not just like randomly I try to force geocentrism in because I want the ether or anything like that. It's just the default empirical position in both situations. Heliocentrism is one that forces itself in. It forces itself in on the evidence. I just talk a lot. Like I could do a whole hour straight rant on why I say the Earth is geocentric. The evidence is overwhelming.
Yeah, I also can. Last night or a couple nights before, I was on a stream. I did a stream where I was doing some observations, and I talked basically nonstop for literally 5 hours. But I just remembered another way that the Earth is to show that the Earth is moving is redshift. If you look at the redshifts of stars in the direction of motion, they will blue shift. If you look at stars behind you, they are redshift. That's how we know that the sun is moving through the Milky Way galaxy at a rate of 220 kilometers per second.
Oh man!
So there you go. There's another way to determine that. But I agree with you in that, in a way that yes, the base. If you look at this from the very beginning, the Greeks, because they're the ones I'm most familiar with. Aristotle said, "Yeah, I can't feel it moving. If it were moving, then the birds of the sky would fall out of the sky." And so that it was then suggested, all right, if it were moving, then you have to come up with some kind of evidence to suggest that it is moving. And that's when they came up with parallax. And when they saw no parallax, as I've said, they had two options. They can either have said that the stars were very, very far away, which is inconsistent with Aristotle's other philosophy, or the Earth wasn't moving. But since then, we have shifted. We have a plethora of evidence. I know you don't want to, for some reason, you want to negate that or not believe that. But we have massive amounts of evidence that shows that the Earth is moving around the sun.
We don't, man. You just brought up something to do with moving through the galaxy, which they say takes
redshift.
Okay, but moving through the galaxy, they claim that we're like, what, 1/4 the total distance of the galaxy out, and it takes 250,000 years? 250,000 to go around the galaxy. 250,000 years. I don't believe anything to do with that. I don't like... What? How would you know? You're claiming that it's based on a single direction, but all we're ever going to observe ever is that single direction? That doesn't help me know the Earth is moving at all, bro. Like, I would love to go back and forth with you in emails, because what it does appear is that we can obviously talk forever. Like we probably could, we could probably go back and forth a lot. And Discord's not always the most copacetic place. I mean, depending on where you are, to be able to do that. And I know we're probably both busy, so I could go back and forth with you in email or even in Discord messages or stuff like that. Telegram is real good for sending files and PDFs, but okay. I promise I'll look at everything. I think that a misnomer about me is that I'm like really arrogant and I never go back. Like, it's not true. Like, if I found out evidence that convinced me legitimately that the Earth's a tilted, wobbling, spinning, revolving ball in a vacuum that's ever expanding in all directions and we're insignificant, like, I would come out publicly and say it. Like, that's actually who I am. I don't see it anywhere, and I looked for it. I didn't turn my head to it. I can assure you aberration and parallax don't do it. I can assure you retrograde motion doesn't do it. So these are the popular things that are said, even to the public. Retrograde motion is pretty easy. You could do you could show like an 8-year-old a demonstration of something in the center and it looking and the object's moving around. You can just flip it around on a YouTube video in about 2 minutes and show how retrograde doesn't debunk geocentrism. So
yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah. But yeah, there's my rant. If you want to close, dude, I kept you way longer than I meant to, man. I mean, I'll keep talking to you, but it's pretty late.
I'm curious about some of your super chats. If there are some legitimate questions in your super chats, I will stick around for a little bit to answer them. But if not, then I'll let you all go.
Okay, cool. Let me look through them and see if there's some for you. I won't make you just sit through all of them if they're not for you. Sorry, let me find them real fast. But no, yeah, I appreciate you coming on. I'm sorry that I got a little worked up at one point, I think, because I saw even my own chat was telling me to chill out, so I must have got.
I have been called a cultist now, and I apologize if I got a little heated with that, because I've been called a cultist by atheists. I now have been called a cultist by Christians. I don't really know what to make of it. Apparently, I'm in a no-win situation.
Oh, I wasn't trying to. I was in no way trying to call you a cultist. I'm just saying, like, I feel like modern science kind of. Okay. Yeah, it's similar. It is similar in my opinion, but it is not personal to you. All right. The invisible matter that we detect is called dark matter. NASA. Nominal $5. Open your mind. Wade. $11. Jazz. Let me try to find stuff just for you. I'll read all the other ones off. Here, Professor, how do you measure the speed of objects in the sky if you are on a spinning object?
You take the spinning of the object into account. Same way that you would measure something if you were traveling in a car. You'd have to know the speed of the car. Or,
all right, Tyler, I think. Good.
Yeah, I was going to say, or depending on what you're looking at, you can the speed of the Earth might be negligible in comparison to the time scale of what you're talking about, and then in that case, you just kind of ignore it, unless the precision of your instruments doesn't allow you to be able to.
Okay. We read this one earlier. MKME Matt, thank you for the generous donation. Appreciate you coming on to have this discussion, Professor. Much love to all. We have another one here. Professor Parks, it sounds like you're standing on a foundation of assumptions in order to make the Bible conform to this world.
I don't agree with that, but I actually don't kind of see where they're going with it, but sure. All right.
Yeah. If you were to acknowledge the possibility of the true Earth publicly, how would it impact your livelihood?
Oh, it would seriously impact my livelihood.
Yeah, stationary topographical plane. Oh, man. You better watch out, dude.
I mean, again, if I were just to make the claim without evidence, yeah, it would seriously impact my livelihood. But if I were to make the claim with evidence, then yeah, it would. My livelihood might get called into question, but if I could argue it well enough, then no. Then I would get the Nobel Prize and I would retire somewhere mountainous.
I think that I almost admire how you look at it. Like, you genuinely think it's just like yeah, all legit, like Professor Parks discovered that the Earth is flat. He's got evidence. Like, please publish him. That would never happen, brother. I promise. But I admire it. I don't know how to say it. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see here. Someone said, Professor Parks, South Park. That sounds nice. Please come back after doing some honest research of what Austin Powers sends you. Don't let what you paid your school stop you from being honest. I want to go ahead and jump in. I don't think that you're dishonest. I genuinely don't find you to be dishonest. I think that you are just you're deep in the sauce. You know what I'm saying? That's how I see it. Okay. But I still love you, man. I appreciate you coming on. Yeah, I think that's about it. I mean, there are a bunch of them for me. I thought I saw another one. Someone said, look up the definition of pseudoscience. Second, name one instance of astrophysics using the scientific method. Third, weep, you wasted so much money on degrees. So I really ask people to be specifically be respectful, though. So I shouldn't even read those. Sorry.
No, but I do want to clarify something. I didn't pay anything for my education.
Yeah,
I got
nice.
a full ride when I was an undergraduate, and when you're in grad school, they pay you.
Basically, what he's saying is, of course,
I know what he's saying, but I just wanted to make sure,
yeah,
basically, I'm tuning my own horn. I got a full ride in undergrad,
cool.
so I ended up not having to pay anything. So
that's what's up. I got a full ride and then didn't go to class at all and lost it. Basically, the idea being that obviously this is just what you would call observational science, and you don't actually have any direct, tangible physical manipulation or varying of the independent variable to verify the cause and effect relationship, which is needed for natural science. Is basically what he's saying.
In and upon itself.
What?
Wait, that's a whole conversation.
Yeah. That's why I was trying to just really quickly represent it for him. I think that's about it. I guess we just run through all of them. There's not that many. The invisible matter, we detect, open your mind. When you interpret data and observations with the presupposition that you're on a globe, you end up having to imagine 95% of it. Robert, first look up the definition of pseudoscience, get the same one. If water forms a plane, there is no globe. I can science that circa 2023. I don't know. He's quoting, I can science that with if water forms a plane, there is no globe.
I know I can science that as a friend of mine. He's been on a couple of different debates, and I'm sure that is probably cut from his debate with Bev.
Word. Standing on shoulders, but are you looking? Jazz Jack, I think, for the super chat. Witsit, very good episode. Hope people can understand what is happening. Cheers, mate, and always big drums. Very generous donation, Charlie. Thank you for the generous super chat, brother, and for the kind words. Cody Carelock, $20 super chat. Thank you. Sierra Warriors and 7. Thank you. Joseph, very generous super chat. Thank you, brother. Next one, Professor. How do you measure that? You answered that one. Charlie, crazy generous donation. Much respect to all, though hardworking Witsit, truly. Thank you very much for the kind words and the super chat, brother. Charlie, that was very generous of you. Joseph, thank you. MKE Matt, appreciate you coming on. To you, thank you for the generous donation. I just don't want to miss the generous ones. I would feel terrible. Oops, missed some zeros.
Well, I saw one of them pop up. You got $100 from somebody.
Yeah, dude. There were people being super generous this stream. God's creation is why true Earth matters. Yes, indeed. Joseph, thank you for the super chat. Very generous super chat as well. Greatly appreciated. And then, Professor, that got you. What is gravitational? Why is gravity proportional to the sound vector acceleration according to Euler's equation, a set of quasi-linear hyperbolic equations governing flow and fluid dynamics? Seems like sound is key, not mass.
I have no idea.
That was a lot. That was.
I have no idea. What the hell? Euler's sound? Okay, I'll look.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
I'll just paste this super chat for you into Discord. Sure. Yeah, that'd be a little easier. That dude came ready for swinging for the fence, bro. He wasn't playing. He said sound vector acceleration according to Euler's equation. All right, Professor Rob, I want to be a sponge here. Please explain military usage of microwave technology over 200 plus miles. How did they teach that in a paid-for education?
I never had the honor of serving in the military, so I never got that education. So I don't think that's specific. I can tell you how microwaves propagate through the Earth's atmosphere, but I don't know what you're specifically talking about.
They go way beyond the geometric curvature of the Earth. And microwaves, of course, are
going to bounce off the ionosphere and get to the target.
No, microwaves can't bounce off the ionosphere. They're way too high frequency. Over 40 megahertz goes through the ionosphere, according to the official model. All right, I appreciate both participants. This is how people learn if they are truly interested in enlightenment. Also, go Dubs. Thank you for the $8 super chat. Much love, Sierra. Godzilla 37, Robert, honestly now, do you really think coming into this that a flat earther would know this much about your model? I think he was kind of familiar with me, but you can answer that.
I knew what your knowledge.
Yeah.
You are certainly one of the more knowledgeable flat earthers I have come across. So.
Thank you, Joseph. Austin, I will pay for you to do a peer review paper. F this dog and pony show. Thank you for the $10 super chat. I think it's much more about me having time and then the ideas. Canadian Bacon. Who has measured Earth's curvature, Professor Parks? FE Core is a group that has done measurements looking for curvature and found no curvature.
Yeah, so I'm going to direct you to mctune.net. There have been numerous surveys, circle excess, reciprocal zenith angles, and I don't need to say this. You know what my response to FE Core's test is going to be, the magical R word. So.
Yeah, retarded. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, refraction. All right. Say what's up to the professor. He's the man. Come back soon, Sierra. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, kind words for you, brother. Who has measured Earth's curvature? I asked that. Professor Parks. NASA. If NASA were to admit they lied and the Earth is flat, would you believe them?
Well, NASA isn't the one really saying that the Earth is a sphere. Astronomers have been saying that for, at this point, millennia. So if NASA were to come out and say that the Earth was flat, I would not believe them. I would think that there is something going on. That is where I would not believe NASA. If they told me it was flat. Because
it's just funny. Yeah. They for the reason that they said it like a few millennia ago were really stupid reasons, though, that actually work perfectly fine and normal on a flat Earth. So I think that maybe that we should have invoked them. That what they said was stupid. Like the fact that the stuff in the sky changes above the horizon as you move away from it. Yeah, that happens on a flat Earth too. Kingdom and context. We should remember that there was once a discipline called natural philosophy. It has been renamed science. Hans Alvin Nobel Prize in Physics.
Yeah, basically when about the time of Thomas Bacon, when he developed the first rudimentaries of scientific method. I think that's when the transition from natural philosopher to scientist came into. Because Newton was described as a natural philosopher.
Which he was, and he didn't even offer a theory. All right, Joseph, this is for Professor Parks. You're the best guest to visit. Hope to hear from you again. God bless.
Appreciate it.
Nice. Thank you for being respectful. All right, I think we're caught up. You guys were very generous. Thank you guys for being so generous tonight, especially Joseph and Charlie. You guys were very generous, and it's greatly appreciated. All right, brother, I did not expect to keep you this long. I apologize for that. I guess we're like definitely over 4 hours, but
I spoke with cool. Stephen Warrior for 5, so no problem.
Okay. Yeah, we could talk for a long time. I didn't want to come in this like try to load the clip and like debate you or anything,
Yeah, I just wanted to. Actually.
Yeah. I just wanted to chill. I do feel like there's a lot of stuff I maybe could throw at you, but I like you, man. I do. I like you, and
thank you.
Yeah, I think there are some narratives that you say that they make me feel sick, like when you say that we've known for millennia, but it's okay. Why they make you feel sick, though? Like we've known for millennia, like you haven't known for millennia, bro. Like, come on, bro. Please stop pushing that on me, man. Anyway, I will hold you to it, though. I'm gonna send you that you gotta drop the Kepler's laws thing. I'll show you that all the local phenomena, including even distant galaxies and stuff, can be explained with the geocentric neo-Tychonic system. And just to show you that it's possible, you can just utilize Newtonian mechanics and even relativistic application, right? I don't buy either one of those. I think it's intrinsically electromagnetic since it's more dense, more local. But I just want you to realize that, geocentrism is viable.
I've never heard of neo-Tychonic. I've never heard of that.
Tychonic,
so, Tychonic. I've never heard of it, so that should be very interesting. So yeah, please do send that over.
Yeah, absolutely. And I plan on working on some theories. I'm sure we'll stay in contact, man. We can Discord, email. It's hard to talk. It's hard to have like any long duration, like back and forth like this for sure on Discord, as you know. So, dude, just go ahead and give your closing, whatever you want to say. and then I'll let you go, and I'll just kind of wrap it up with them, and we'll get out of here.
Sure. Thank you, Austin, for having me on here. I hope you and your family are well. I've heard that you have a young one in your family, so congrats.
Thank you.
And yeah, I one of the things that I wanted to accomplish by being here was illustrating that we can have cordial, respectful discussions about the flat Earth, and I think that is really vital, almost vital, to have these conversations, because we need to know where we are each coming from as to why we hold the ideas that we do. And so, yeah, I hope people have enjoyed it. I hope people have been educated in one way or another. So yeah, thank you.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Thank you, brother. And I will catch up with you soon. I don't know how to get out of here. Oh, you're on Zoom. Okay, you're good.
I'm on Zoom.
All right,
so
yeah, cool.
peace out,
Much love,
guys.
Yeah, later, brother.